In the city of Aurora Alta lived Leonardo, a 34-year-old graphic designer, creative, sensitive, and full of ideas. Working as a freelancer for nearly a decade, he always valued the freedom to choose his own schedule, his own projects, and his own pace. To him, the idea of following a fixed routine felt suffocating. He believed that living without rules was the secret to lightness and inspiration. But what he didn't realize was that little by little, that freedom was becoming a trap. He spent hours scrolling through his phone, missed important deadlines, was always apologizing, making up excuses, and promising that next week would be different. But next week would come, and everything stayed the same. He said he didn't want routine, that he wasn't born for that. But the truth is, he was already trapped, not by a structured routine, but by a chaotic cycle of self-sabotage, a cycle that seemed invisible, but was present in every small careless act, in every late email, in every message he took days to reply to, in every goal he wrote down and forgot in the back of a notebook. With every promise left unfulfilled, he lost a piece of his own confidence, and a silent feeling of failure began to grow inside him. It was as if he were constantly disappointing someone, and above all, disappointing himself. It got to a point where he didn't even believe in his own plans anymore. He would say, "I'll start on Monday." But not even he believed it, and the worst part wasn't the external mess, it was the internal emptiness. The shame and frustration of being someone who always starts but never finishes. Leonardo wasn't just lost, he was starting to forget who he could be, if only he could trust himself. Until one day, something simple but painful woke him up. An important client whom he had been working with for months cancelled a major project, not because of the work itself, but because of the delay in delivery. "You've got talent, Leonardo, but talent without commitment is just an unfulfilled promise." The words came gently, but they hit like a punch. He tried to argue, to explain himself, but he knew it was true. It shattered him from the inside. In the days that followed, Leonardo began to see everything differently. He started noticing how he was always late, even for the small things, how he always let the dishes pile up, the emails go unanswered, the ideas stay unorganized. It was like he had put his own life on snooze mode, and the saddest part is that he was getting used to it, as if living in the almost was the best he could ever do. On one of those mornings, sitting on the couch, surrounded by the silence of his own home, he found himself thinking about who he used to be. He remembered the sleepless nights, filled with excitement over incredible project ideas. Where did that fire go? Where was that enthusiasm? It all seemed to have been extinguished, buried under messy days and lack of direction. It was there, in the middle of that uncomfortable silence, that he understood something he had never had the courage to admit. He had no freedom at all. Living without routine, without consistency, without commitment to what he said he wanted. He was trapped, and what he lacked wasn't motivation or talent. It was the ability to trust himself again, and for the first time, he didn't run from that truth. Because deep down, he knew. As long as he kept doubting himself, no plan would ever move forward, and he was tired of making promises he couldn't keep to himself. That night, Leonardo made a decision, not a revolution, not some crazy plan to change his entire life. Just one small but firm choice, to wake up 30 minutes earlier the next day, not to work, not to produce, just to start differently. Just to prove to himself that he could still begin, for real. The hardest part was still the beginning of the day. It always had been. Those first few minutes after waking up, when the mind whispers loudly, "Just 5 more minutes, today won't make a difference. You can start tomorrow." Those thoughts came every day, and every day Leonardo had to choose. It wasn't easy. Opening his eyes, getting out of bed, facing the cold, the silence, the inertia. But within that small daily battle, something much bigger was happening. He was learning how to win against his own mind. And every time, he won, even if it was just by getting up, making coffee, and starting the day with intention. He felt a silent victory fill his body. A peace, a childlike pride for having accomplished something that only he knew how much it cost. He began to realize that what he called lack of motivation was actually a mind conditioned to comfort, and that if he waited to feel like doing something, he'd stay stuck. But if he acted even without feeling like it, the desire would come afterward. He repeated this like a mantra. If I get up, I've already won. If I do it, I've already succeeded. It was through that daily discipline, as quiet as it was powerful, that his confidence was being rebuilt. Not all at once, but like a staircase, step by step. And the more he climbed, the more he believed, I can, I will, I'm capable. Was around the second week that Leonardo realized something that completely changed the way he saw everything. Discipline wasn't taking away his freedom. It was creating the freedom he had never been able to live before. Before, he believed that freedom meant waking up late, going with the flow, deciding everything in the moment. But now, with small and steady habits, he was living something new. Freedom of mind, freedom from guilt, freedom from knowing he was doing what needed to be done. Without pressure, without self-blame, just with clarity, he started to understand that what truly suffocated him wasn't the routine. It was the delay, the mess, the guilt of making promises and not keeping them. And the more he got organized, the more he stuck to what he had committed to, the lighter he felt. That's when Leonardo changed his internal dialogue. He stopped saying, I need to have discipline, and started saying, my dreams deserve my discipline, because now he knew it wasn't about being perfect. It was about honoring himself. With time, the changes began to expand into other areas of his life. No pressure, no crazy goals. Leonardo simply decided he would exercise twice a week. Just that, just twice, and he kept it up. Soon after, he started eating better, drinking more water, caring for his body with the same love he had begun to show. His mind, that time that once seemed never enough, now began to overflow, and he realized a powerful truth. The problem was never time. It was the lack of direction, and that discipline is an act of self-love. That's when everything truly changed. He understood that committing to a routine, to his schedule, to his well-being, wasn't a prison. It was care. It was respect. It was a way of saying every day, I care about myself, I believe in me. And the confidence that once felt buried came back in full force. 6 months later, Leonardo looked in the mirror and no longer saw a man tired of himself. He saw someone who trusted his own word, who knew that even when laziness, doubt, or fatigue showed up, he was still capable of continuing. In the beginning, his mind fought back. Why are you doing this? You won't keep it up. But with time, after so much repetition, his mind began to play on his team. Now when laziness shows up, his own mind answers, come on, you keep your word, you've got this. It was with that new strength that Leonardo made the boldest decision of his life, to open his own company. After years of living as an insecure freelancer, he now felt ready to build something bigger, and he truly was great at what he did. Only now, he believed in that too, and with that confidence, he built what he hadn't been able to build in 10 years. In just 6 months, he structured the company, landed his first major contracts, and began to expand. Today, 2 years later, Leonardo has become a millionaire. His company has 3 branches. He leads a team with responsibility, balance, and lightness. But even with all of that, there's something he never forgot. It all started with small commitments. It all started when he simply decided to wake up 30 minutes earlier. He understood that having a routine doesn't mean being trapped. It means being free. He understood that discipline doesn't have to be something hard, difficult, or heavy. It can be light, gentle, built slowly and with care, and that our dreams deserve our discipline, because if we don't sustain our dreams day by day, they become nothing but lost desires. Leonardo's greatest turning point wasn't success, but the moment he realized that it's never too late to start again, that it doesn't have to happen all at once. It's enough to start small, with what you have, in the way you can, and keep going. Because in the end, it's consistency, not urgency, that changes an entire life. If this story spoke to you, if deep down you feel it's time to take that first step, subscribe to the channel. Every week, there are stories like this one to remind you, you can start slow and still go very, very far.